8:30 on this Wednesday. We're here with Charlie O'Hara. If you have a question, hop on the line right now, 316-436-1212. He's here and happy to answer any of your legal questions. Charlie, we're dealing with a situation, active from last night, potential, double homicide, and they've just announced that they're taking in a suspect. And I guess you and I were chatting about the process of what a lawyer would need to do and what that suspect will undergo in the next hours. What are some issues that you can speak to, especially with Miranda rights for that person?
Well, usually people come in all the time, and because of TV, actually people think that if you're charged, that the police immediately have to read your Miranda rights. And what the Miranda rights are your constitutional rights. That means your constitutional right to remain silent, constitutional right to have an attorney there. You don't have to speak to an attorney. It can never be held against you. And those are very important rights that we should actually learn at least in middle school, if not grade school or high school. But a lot of people forget those and think for some reason, they have to be read immediately. The only time those need to be read to somebody is when the police are asking them to give an in-custody statement.
Okay.
In other words, you would have to be arrested, and they would have to take you into custody so you're not free to go, and then begin to ask you questions. That's when the Miranda rights are read. Now, usually what happens is the police try to talk to someone before they talk to an attorney, because we know all the constitutional rights, and we would probably say to our client, don't talk to anybody until you talk to us, so we can decide what we ought to do and how we ought to proceed, because we're the attorney and we're trying to represent them and do some strategy as to what ought to happen in the case. Usually the police want to talk to them before that, because they don't want us to get in the way of what they're asking about, and they think they can get a quick answer fast. So it's kind of a battle.
That's good to keep in mind for anyone listening to this developing story. And it does sound now like we have a couple of calls on the line.
Okay.
So first caller, go ahead. You're on the line with Charlie.
Yes, Charlie. I've heard you're a criminal lawyer. What type of cases does your son and daughter take?
Well, actually, my son does the criminal work with me, and he also does some immigration work. My daughter all she does is domestic work, which would be child support, divorces, and child custody and things like that. So that's what we do. We also have two other attorneys in our firm, and we work in three areas of the law, and that would be in criminal law, all phases, federal to city, and then we do immigration, and we do a lot of domestic.
Thanks, Charlie. And it sounds like we do have a second caller. Caller, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Lita Daling, and I'm calling in regards to my son's traffic accident. He's not available right at the present time. He doesn't even know I'm calling. He was on 13th and Waco a month ago today. He was in the intersection turning left. The light changed when he was whenever he was turning, and it was red as he was finishing the turn, or going to finish. On the other side of the intersection, a lady was behind a vehicle, decided she wanted to move out. She went into the right lane and traveled through the red light and hit him. The only situation is, whenever this did happen, now the insurance company will not go ahead and even look into it, Harley. They keep saying we're waiting for the police report. He had to have his vehicle towed to his home, which was $167 immediately. And now they're just dragging their feet. They're saying he's part of the problem, that he received the ticket. I mean, he did not receive the ticket. The lady received the ticket, but insurance company's saying that he's probably 80% to blame.
Well, what you probably need to do in that situation is you're going to need to get a representative for yourself. I mean, sometimes insurance companies don't like to pay money out, and so they are hard to get along with people and hard to negotiate, and that's when you need an attorney. I mean, sometimes you need an attorney not because you're in the wrong, you need somebody to speak for you. And I mean, we hopefully are trained enough that we can speak for you. There are people that specialize in those areas, and I think you ought to really get a hold of an attorney that would handle that. I hope no one was hurt in the accident, because that could be more things, but if a vehicle's damaged and there's substantial damage, you probably ought to get an attorney. If the insurance company doesn't want to pay, I think you ought to get a hold of an attorney, and they can handle that for you.
Thank you so much, Charlie. We really appreciate your help. It sounds like we're out of time, but you can, of course, call back next week. Again, that same number you see behind me, 316-436-1212. We're going to take a short break now on Eyewitness News, but stay tuned. We'll be right back.